I got like a Norman perspective, a little bit more of a Norman perspective when I was outside earlier today. And it seems like this is the move from more liberal police in the future. I think you're going to see more like PR moves like this, where they basically, go gung-ho all out and be like, oh, we're so sorry. This is so unique. This is so different. This is so odd that it happened to be the way that it did. But I watched it. This community watched it. And I've been covering police brutality for the past 10 years now. And I can tell you with a certainty that this is what cops are. And it reeked of PR. It reeked of PR. And the Normans, yes, have believed it hook, line, and sinker. Yes, Normans believe it. Normans do think this is unique. And I don't think it's out of the ordinary. I don't think it's out of the ordinary at all. As a matter of fact, I made the couple statements about it, but it's so normal that it was strange how people made it seem like it was out of the ordinary. I said a couple different things. I said, after reviewing the footage, I could tell you with a certainty that what happened in Memphis is not in any way, shape, or form unique. This is normal policing. It's propaganda to state otherwise. They were talking about beating a man to death in jovial terms because they're used to it. They were also, their body cameras were on. And they were talking about how they were landing haymakers. Do you want to know why? Because they didn't even think they would get punished for it. They didn't think that they had done anything out of the usual. No one else, the EMTs didn't think that they had done anything out of the usual, out of the ordinary. The other cops on scene, the 10 plus police officers on scene, didn't think the other 5 did anything out of the usual, out of the ordinary. And perhaps more importantly, this is super indicative that it wasn't out of the ordinary. The first 3 cops, some of which were a part of the 5 cops, but the first 3 cops, there was a white guy there too, that ripped Tyre Nichols out of his car and brutalized him and tased him while he was on the ground, doing pretty much the exact same shit that the other 5 cops did that inevitably that end up getting charged. Those guys are not being talked about. The first couple of cops that started this entire process by, cornering a man on a traffic stop, which the police chief has admitted there was no evidence for that stop to even happen, okay? There was no reckless driving happening. Originally, they said, I think he blew a stop sign. Then the police chief, before the footage was released yesterday, said there isn't sufficient evidence to even show that there was actual reckless driving happening. Nobody's talking about them. Those 3 cops weren't a part of the 5 in the second altercation. Some of them, I believe, were, but not all of the cops that pulled him over originally were. You want to know why I know that? Because one of the cops that tased him is white, and the 5 cops that were arrested are charged with murder and kidnapping are all black. I know for a fact that at least one of the guys that was beating on him originally was not one of the 5 cops. We want to know how I know that? Because he's white. And they hyped this footage up, I believe, for PR to distance themselves from how normal this kind of wanton endangerment and brutality is. That's what I think. Because what I saw on that footage was gruesome. It was violent. It was horrific. But the one thing it wasn't was out of the ordinary. Okay? I've been covering police brutality for a decade now. And what I watched there was not ordinary. It was not unusual. It happened with Sandra Bland. It happened with Elijah McClain, and it happened, and it will continue to happen time and time again. And for people that don't understand it, they're like, what do you mean? That's unusual. Police kill 3+ people every day in this country. In the process, in the time that passed since we found out about this footage, police have probably killed more than 2 people, statistically speaking. In 2022, cops killed 1,176 people. As far as the last year, it's 1,123, sorry, in 2022. There were only 9 days in the past year where cops didn't kill someone. 9 days only. So it is significantly more unique to have days where you're not killing someone if you're a cop. So please stop with this bullshit. This whole oh man, it's so unusual. It's so unusual. It's so unusual that they were behaving this way. Okay? Come on. Miss me with this bullshit. This is a systemic problem, and anyone no matter how well-intentioned and how liberal they are, that moves the conversation away from how much of a systemic issue this is basically lying to you. They might be well-intentioned, but they're still lying to you because they're too lost in the sauce. They think that this is normal. And yesterday I showed you that it's not normal. How did I show you that it's not normal? Because when you look at police killings by country, per capita, and by totality, the United States is number one by the widest of margins. This is per capita. The United States police kill civilians at a much higher rate than police in other wealthy countries. 33.5 police killings per, I believe, 10 million people or something? Is that correct? I think, or maybe 1,000? I don't know. Totality, if we look at, of course, is going to be much, much larger as well. This is data available from 2018 and 2019, if I'm not mistaken. The last time they conducted this comprehensive survey. Yeah. Oh, per 10 million. Yeah. Number of people killed by law enforcement per 10 million population. So Canada, 9.8. Australia, 8.5. United States, 33.5. It's not normal. It's not normal. It is abnormal for police to be this fucking violent. Okay? So when you know all of this, it's hard for you to believe anything else. It's hard for me, knowing what I know about police brutality, knowing what I know about police activity, hard for me to believe that this is out of the ordinary in the way that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News are in unison collectively stating. It's not. The only two logical conclusions is that either A, we have a systemic problem with the police in this country, or B, we're the most crime-ridden country in the world. Either it's excessive or it's needed, and it can't be both. We're not the most crime-ridden country on the planet. We're not. The only thing that's out of the ordinary, I guess, is that the brutalized, the brutal beating was not only on body cameras, but also on the poll camera footage that is 100 yards away from Tyre Nichols' mom's house, by the way, which makes this so much worse. And the reaction by the cops was unusual. They were very quick. People with institutional power were very quick to react. Okay? Also, I guess some other unique components in the story is how quick people were claiming that these guys were operating like a bunch of gangbangers. Now, cops are a gang. They are. They operate exactly like a gang. But for some reason, this is the first time I've heard media be like, these guys are gangbangers. These guys are behaving like gangbangers. I don't know. Could be because they're black. Maybe. Okay? They are a gang. But like I said, singling them out and saying that they're a gang, specifically these guys, well, that's not necessarily true. They are a gang. They always have been a gang. That is not new or different. Okay? So, I don't know. I don't know why, but it reeks of agitprop. It reeks of propaganda.